Okay. Let's get myself set up here. Couple of little technical checks and then we'll get started. Okay, so whilst we're getting set up here, today I am working in the Coco Wyo book, and I think I'm going to alternate each week between my two new favourite marker pen books. So I'm going to kind of play around, bounce around with the two of those on my live streams. Today though, I want to play with some water effects. So let's just have a quick reminder of what we have in this book. We have all these different doodle patterns that we can do, different surface textures. They're very cute. They're very in the style of Coco Wyo. So if you are into those colouring books, then obviously this is a perfect companion for you. I'll be honest, it's not my style of colouring book, but I do appreciate that there are some new ways to do techniques that I might not know, and they're just nice little weekend warm-ups before I can get on with the rest of my day. I am trying out a different camera configuration. I'm having some issues with my usual setup, and ironically, Old Faithful here, the camera that I bought about 10 years ago, seems to be outperforming every new camera I've bought since. So that's where we're at. Okay, so to get started, I have partitioned off my sketchbook. I'm working in the Ohuhu. What's this one called? This is the Ohuhu marker pad. Now, if you're interested, they do sell on Amazon a 2-pack. If you saw my recent Prime Day sale haul video, I did pick up. This was up for grabs for a nice price. So we have this 2-pack if you're interested. We the citizens of the internet, we have these things available to purchase. And yes, now another thing I need to do is announce the winner. I did promise I would announce the winner of my Grabby giveaway, but we'll see how we do, because if there's not really anybody here at the moment, then I'll probably just post it on my community tab anyway. But yes, I do have a winner. I need to remind myself who that was, but I picked a random comment on that video, and I have the person's name already chosen. Let me find it so that I have it ready. Okay. Now I think I might be able to, well, okay, yeah, I found it, so I will post that on my channel today, probably as soon as I'm done here. Let me go grab my timer and then we will get started. Okay, change of plan, no timer today. I use it to time something, I don't know what. I wasn't feeling very well last week, if you noticed, so if you missed me, I do apologise. I had a bit of an issue, a bit of a situation which required a bit of medication, and that knocked me out, and I was in a lot of pain, so talking was a little bit difficult. But we're back now, that's in the past. We're going to get started. Right, I'm going to do these two variations of water effect today, starting off with this first ombre effect. I've picked out some colors that I think will match these color combos, and this is how this book does it. It just gives you a little swatch so you can kind of match. I use my own Ohuhu color chart, which is all in color family, So please grab this. You can find a link to this. It's in my Ko-fi store. It is free, or donate. Pay what you can, pay what you want. But if you just feeling a little bit tight, it's okay. You can have it for free. It's my gift for you. And these are the old color numbers, but I have made a new one for the new color versions. I'll be honest, I didn't ever get round to making the storage version, but perhaps I could make a blank one of these. This is basically essentially how all of your pens line up in your tray, because the trays are usually about 6 or 12 pens across. So I've made basically 12 boxes across, so that this is how my storage unit looks. So I can easily find and easily put away at the end of the day. They're all in the same order as this configuration, but obviously this is split out so I can easily see the color families. So I've picked out colors that have matched here. So I've gone across. Now this combination here that we're starting with is a purple that leans towards blue, and we want to reserve a darker color for this second step here, I noticed. So if I pull this up, we're going to get started with that first section. 2 colors of each, 2 colors on the sandy part, 2 colors on the water part, and then we need a darker purple to go on the top. So fairly simple. It looks good, but they're making it out to be very simple. So I'm going to take my Prismacolor Color-Rays. Now these are great. These are erasable color pencils, not really for the coloring, but really useful for sketching out any of your coloring work, and they are not super waxy, so as you're using alcohol marker on top of these, they don't kind of smush up your nibs like a waxier pencil will. So let's give ourselves a nice little shoreline. Let's go wee little wiggly line. Done. Okay, so color the first layer with 2 colors. I've got here V060 and V390. Let's start with the lighter one, and we'll get that laid down. And you know what, because it's a larger area, I like to go with my chisel. So let's take this chisel, and I did do some taping today. Let's see if that actually works. And for this first layer, I am going to go over the whole area because the blending should be smoother, because what I'm doing here is essentially saturating the fibers in the paper, so that will allow for a little bit more movement of the color. I did notice I did mess up the scheduling of this video as well, so I'm having one of those weeks. Bear with me this week and last week. Next week I should be back on form, but I was working yesterday. We had our open house at the school that I teach at, and that basically took up so much precious art time. I do love my job. I'm happy to work there, but I'm born to make art, so you know, it's difficult. It's useful that I'm the art teacher though, but yeah, it's quite invasive on my time when then I come to do stuff on the weekend, and it's I'm down to 1 day. What's that all about? All right, so I'm moving down now to, or moving up in the darkness to V390, and I'm going to start at the top here. I have moved to the brush nib just to get a nice balance of color here. Now what I want to do is, if I want to get a super smooth blend, I'm going to stick with the brush nibs now. I'm going to start overlapping here, like so. And I'm going to kind of make a sandwich. Okay, so I'm going to start to bring this down. Now, another thing I noticed with swatches, so let's talk about swatches. Most people will leave their swatches out. Okay, that's fine. But alcohol ink is not light fast. So what's going to happen is within a year, a lot of the colors will have shifted. Okay, and that's not the pen's fault. It's just the nature of the beast. We are going to have to redo our color swatches. So I noticed that some of my darker shades on my color chart are not looking as dark as I remember and almost looking like they're in the wrong position. So it is coming up to be time for me to redo my color chart. So just always print a fresh one out from time to time, and then if you are being sensible, you want to keep them in a binder, and yeah, try to keep them out of the light. This is why I'm turning into being a really big fan of using the Ohuhu marker pad, is because obviously when it's closed, I don't need to worry about any UV rays hurting any artwork or sketches I do in here. So it's a nice way to kind of preserve your artwork. But also don't forget that photography is a thing. A lot of people can make, so if you were selling prints or whatever, then photographing alcohol marker artwork is great, because obviously you can, you know, you preserve it in the photography or scanning. All right, so I'm just trying to figure out how much I want to do with this ombre. It's kind of, I think it's kind of there. I don't know, maybe I just want to match the shape a little bit more. And then blur this out. So I like the circular motion. That's my way of getting smoother blending. Now I want to see how this protector is holding up, because I'll be honest, I don't really like these. These are great for protecting the page behind, but I usually prefer just paper to absorb any ink that goes through. I have had a situation where I was doing heavy pen lay down, where I was trying to get a really you know, like really wet ink effects, and it obviously just sat on the top of this layer and then kind of bled through again on, you know, elsewhere where I didn't want it, and started to come back up again. So that's why I don't really like them, but it depends what I'm doing. If it's just, you know, casual use, then they're good. But it's just this bit of a strange, it's a strange invention for me when just a slice of paper will do. Okay. All right, I think we're about here. I think on a larger scale of work, I would probably use more than 2 colors, if I'm honest, to get a nice blend, but this will do, and we're going to cover a lot of it up with the next step anyway. But let's move on, because nobody wants to watch pen dry. So for the sandy area, I've gone with YR070 and YR220. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with the lighter shade just to get everything down and saturated. That's interesting. It looks like this pen, the alcohol just picked up some of the color from the tape there. Okay, we've got a lay down. Right, now then, it looks like we're going darker side on the water side. And then same again, I'm just going to blend these out. Oh, I see you there, nice. Hello, hello. I'm doing water today. I'm doing this nighttime beach, and then I'm going to do some sea, ocean stuff. Okay, all right, so that's a nice transition. Let's see how we're doing. Let me zoom in. Zoom. There we go. Okay, a little bit patchy. We'll let that alcohol evaporate, but we have got layers to go on top, so I'm not worried about getting it super perfect. But that's what the back looks like. Nice and saturated there. Okay, so step 2, create irregular shapes with a darker color. So I have P5, and it looks like, so one thing that they haven't mentioned, but just as an observation, the larger shapes are further away from the shore and the smaller shapes are closer. So let's see if we can mimic that. Now ideally, let me see, yeah, it's still a bit wet, so I'm going to give that a little heat, because if I go over that, that is going to bleed out a little bit and I'm going to get a fuzzy line, so I don't want to push it. Okay, it's a bit better. All right, so let's start at the top here. Some whooshes. Okay. I can see that. I think I can see that better than you can see it on the camera, but we've got our shapes. We're cooking with our shapes now. Okay. Let's have another one down there. And again, if you are a beginner, this is all circular movements to get those nice blends. So I hope everybody's enjoying their weekend. You're not working too hard. The weather's being nice to you. I'm also curious how many people had the original Ohuhu markers and could not resist and went out and bought all the new ones with the new color numbers. Just because. But I still have my eyes on the soft chisel nibs. We'll have to see how much colouring I do in the next year, I think. All right. Hello. Oh, Alfonso. Hello, lovely to see you. Jay Gregory, lovely to see you. I do have some news. Jay Gregory. Should I do it? Yes. Jay Gregory, you were the random comment picker winner for the Grabby subscription box that I have up for grabs. So I'm going to get you to drop me a message so that we can talk about that. But yes, yours was the comment that won on that box. So thank you for joining me on that video. I'm glad you're here. How exciting. I wasn't wondering if you would show up actually. But yes, congratulations. Yay! I'll play a little trumpet. Do 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 do. Sorry if that was the most anticlimactic winner reveal ever, but I saw your name popped up and I had to say. I had to tell you now. You don't need to. You don't need to wait. Drop me an email if you can email me. Let me double check that I'm saying it out right. I think it's just what Becky did last night at Outlook. No. Oh, see, I have too many email addresses. It is, here we go, let me double check. Yeah, at outlook.com. So let me see if I can put that in the comment. Or actually, Anais, could you type that into the comments, into the chat? So that they can email me, please. It's what Becky did last night at outlook.com. Yeah, so congratulations. I've got it all ready. Just need to pack it up for you. Okay. Right, so I think... Obviously, if I don't hear from you, I'll keep chasing you, don't worry. Right, so the next step, I noticed that, see, again, there's a few details that are not listed in the actual instructions here, but we do have some little dots there. I think the P5 will be a little bit too harsh, so I'm just going to go take a step down and go with the V390. I'm just going to do little dots here, right on the tippy toe of the brush. And then you can get some varying dot sizes as well, so they're not all totally the same. It looks a little bit more organic. Now, random is always very hard for humans. We don't do random very well. But there we go. And right, and then we're going to have, right, so this step, again, if you notice, there is like 2 shades of white. The instructions say use a white gel pen, but I think I'm going to do 2 layers. I'm going to do some white Prismacolor in pencil and then gel pen on top, and I think that will get us the result that we want, so that we just get a little bit more depth to that. So let's start off with some of that pencil. So this is going to be a nice soft white highlight. Prismacolor, I have my strong views on Prismacolor. I offended a lot of the Prismacolor fans when I discovered Prismacolor, because I just, you know, the pencil has always been a great pencil, but the quality control, in my opinion, has affected what I think these pencils should be charged for. So I you know, it's just the price point. It's the price point versus the quality control. But for going over something like this and getting a nice opaque white, absolutely use this. Or if you have like any of the softer ones, so you don't want the oilier ones because they're too translucent. So if you're going over dark colors like this, you're not going to see it too well. And I'm just barely touching the surface with this. Something else, maybe like a Derwent Drawing White. Oh, I know what I have not used it yet, but I just picked up a Holbein white. So this is a fancy, expensive one. Yeah, it's definitely more thicker than the Prismacolor, but let's give this one a go. Yeah, so this is nice and white. And I'm just kind of doing these shapes here. Okay, and then I will go over this. Yep. Okay, so yep, I can vouch for the Holbein white. I can vouch for the Derwent Drawing White. So obviously if you're not into color pencils but you are into alcohol markers, then treat yourself to a nice opaque waxy white pencil. Any of those ones I've mentioned, Luminance white, that's a nice soft one. Because obviously we do like our white work on our color pencils and our ink projects, but to take it to that next level, if you want that extra kind of depth to it, bring in a white pencil and a white pen. And then as soon as you start getting those different varying degrees of your highlights, then your stuff is really gonna, that's a really easy way to make it go from beginner to way more advanced. Okay, so I'm just kind of half copying this, but the shapes, but I think you get the idea. Okay, so they've done about three rows of shapes. Also, Alfonso, if you're still there, thank you very much for your comment on my on the short that I posted just last night. That was very kind of you. Thank you. And yeah, I hope you found that drawing paper. It's nice and sturdy, and I have thrown a little bit of water on it as well. So with the liquid graphite, and a bit of that gold paint and everything, and there's not too much buckling, so it can take a little bit of mixed media as well, so not just exclusively graphite and charcoal. But definitely look for the heavyweight drawing. If you get regular drawing pads, it's going to be quite flimsy. Okay, so that's the white pencil done. So let's now add on the gel pen and see how much more. So I'm probably gonna do, see, I've got options. I've also got this Sharpie water-based paint pen, which I think has a nice big nib on it. So that would, I could try that and see if it still works. I bought this a while ago. Okay, it's one of those shake ones. All right, let me see if there's still life in this. I think there is. Okay, so I'm going to start down here, and I'm gonna disguise the line as well. So I'm just going to go over the line between the two. There we go. Okay, that's looking good. And I'm also trying to keep it just within the pencil. So if I show you, let's give you a zoom in. There we go. So I'm trying to keep it so that you can still see the fuzziness of the pencil on the outside. Oh, well, Alfonso, if you have any questions, you can put those in any language and we can try and translate those as well. Okay, so type it in if you get confused. Alright, and then it looks like for the white pen, I'm seeing about 2.5 of those rows of shapes in the more opaque white. So let's do about that. Right, something like that. You see how that's just all come together? That's really nice. And then we have additional white dots. So I've got some white dots here on the sand. And some here. Dot, 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 dot. Okay, and I'm going to throw in, it's not on here, but I'm going to throw in just a bit more kind of like splash around the shore here. Okay, now, oh, before I forget, I'm just going to quickly put my swatches down. All right, and then there's just one more step on this one, and that is the little stars. And they're saying paint pen or acrylic pen. And of course I do have the Ohuhu paint pens. This particular one, I forget which ones these were. Just acrylic marker, I guess. but I'm going to use the lemon yellow and see how that holds up. They're dual-ended. That's what I liked about these ones. They come with a nice brush, bullet, a nice thick bullet, but they have a nice fine point as well. So it's 2 pens for the price of 1. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's nice and yellow. So let's get some little stars in. That's cute. Yeah, once again, the paint pen has transformed a basic coloring into something way more interesting. Look at that. That's very cute. I want to see if I can put just one little star here. Aww. Aw, thank you, Alfonso. Okay, so I think we're done with this one, which means we've just got one more to do. I'm going to try this one out. It looks much more simple. So I'm hoping that's going to be the case. Look at that lovely clean line. Right, so I'm going to need to get some new colors out. So let's see. I think I'm good with this one. So I'll keep hold of that one. That's the YR220. And I don't see where the second color comes. Oh, maybe that's the white. Okay, right. So that's that one. And then just 2 colors of blue. So let's go to the Ohuhu color chart. Let's see what we've got for options. This tape, this is just some washi tape. So whenever you see these reduced or on sale anywhere, you can just pick this one up. I did notice with this one a little bit of staining, although it seems to have kind of faded now with the extra layers. But I haven't seen that before, but a little bit of the color came off with when I kind of scrubbed over it. But they don't usually do that. But just pick up, yeah, just any washi tape. This one kind of has like a slick surface, so if you find the ones that feel kind of plasticky or coated, then that's probably a good bet, because it's not going to sink too much into it or have any texture. So you want a nice smooth one so that your nibs don't have any you know, any friction or too much resistance there. But as you can see, like when we do the reveal, oh, it's going to look good. It's going to look good. Okay, right, so we want 2 different blues here. And they're very similar though. I don't think I'll do mine that close. But let's see. It's kind of a periwinkle. I'm thinking this side of things. Yeah, let's try that. Let's go R25 and V370. All right, there we go. And easy to grab because these are all in order on my pen storage tray. Okay, so we've got our 3 colors. We've got our white pens ready to go. I'm just looking at, just to backtrack a little bit, but these tails, I'm going to see if I can just blend them in a little bit more with the pencil. Yeah, there we go. That's all that needed. Okay, just to soften the edge a little more. There. Okay. Anyway, right. Okay, enough of that one. Right, so color the base. All right. Now I'm going to do a first pass with the chisel nib to just get like a nice lay down. So let's see if that tape smudges again. Yeah, it's not doing it now, but if I rub at it, it might. Or if you're really sensible, you'd probably look for white washi tape and then not worry about it. Ah, there we go. Yeah, I smeared it a little bit. All right, okay, so that's the first pass and it's looking very patchy. So I'm going to go back over with the brush nib just to kind of even it out a little bit. But with all the layers that go on top, it's not too much of a problem. Also remember, it looks patchier until it evaporates. So until the alcohol evaporates out, it does always look a lot more patchier, which is where I ended up using wasting a lot of ink in my early coloring days, because I was obsessively trying to blend out any marks rather than just walking away from it and letting it even out just as it's drying. But okay. All right, so we're using the darker color first. It looks okay, so this will be the V370. And let's do our shapes. So it looks like we want to have not too much space between our shapes. So I'll just fill some of those gaps up. Okay, and I'm going to color in between those shapes. So obviously if you had left much more bigger spaces between each of those shapes, you'd be coloring most of it up now. Hopefully this is enjoyable to watch. It's one of those things that you color that probably isn't exciting to it's quite meditative because it's just organic shapes and just going, you know, just going through it. There's nothing too dramatic on screen for you guys. I guess not yet. When the white pen comes out, that's when this gets exciting. Okay, but we're nearly done. We're nearly there. Okay, swatchy, swatchy. Right, so now it looks like we are doing solid shapes, like pebbles, like pebble shapes just all over the place. Okay. That's fine. We can do that. I think I got that figured out. So, but not to match the shapes on the top. So we've got to try and ignore what we've done. And this is the R25. I might dry this because it's going to bleed, isn't it? It's going to start to blend with what I just coloured. And I don't really want that. So let's just take our heat tool. All right, so shapes, pebble shapes. Yeah, it's going to be all about that white pen when it comes out. And when you're doing this and you don't want it to blend, so if I don't want it to blend with that darker blue, then I want to make sure that I don't work it too much. Even though I've dried it, it will reactivate with the alcohol. I think I'll fit one more in. There we go. Okay, that's where we're at. Time for the white. Okay, so let's see. How thin do I want to go? I think I'm going to stick with the Sharpie. I think it's a nice size. So again, I'm going to ignore all the shapes we've done, but we're doing similar shapes again. So have some like that. I think I'm going to start with the bigger shapes first and then work down to the smaller bubbles. I think that's the way we're going to tackle this. So anywhere that there's big gaps between, that will be lots of bubbles. That'll be very bubbly. Okay, and then smaller. I'm going to try and fill these gaps with more pebbles. I don't know if this pen is opaque enough for what I want here, but let's see, what can I do about that? I can compare it to a Posca. We could try the Posca. Let's see if this one is more opaque. Yes, it is. It is much more opaque. Okay, so this is why having varieties of white pens is useful, because it depends how opaque you want it. Sometimes you want it to be opaque, but not all the time. I am liking how this is coming out. Okay, and some of these lines are just thick, they're just not bubbles. I think the tape reveal at the end is going to be satisfying on this one, and we're getting close to it. We're almost done here. I think this is, yeah, definitely from the distance you guys are at, it's looking like bubbles, I think. Okay, we're almost there. So, like I say, probably not the most dramatic thing to color on a live stream, but thank you for your patience. We're nearly there. Okay. What do we think of this? Does it look like water? Maybe not this bit here. All right. I think we're about ready for the reveal. Just gonna do a second pass on any of these patchy bits or bits I stuck my hand in. But otherwise, we're done here. So, let's take this tape off. There we go. Look at that nice crisp edge. And then here's the big dramatic one. Ooh. Look at that. There we go. So there we have it. And how's that for timing? Right on the hour. I'm almost getting good at this. Okay, so this week we've accomplished 2 water effects. This is super cute with the stars. It depends what you're going for. If you're going for this whimsical look, this little magical look, that is very cute. Very nice. We were playing along with the How to Draw Patterns by Coco Wyo. And there's all sorts of different things in here. There's a link in the description, of course. I like this book, not affiliated at all. Next week, I was looking ahead to see what would be a nice one to follow on from here, and our friend Helen has a water effect as well. So maybe next week, if I'm still feeling the watery inspiration, we could do some do her watery effect, which is a little bit more realistic. So this is more my kind of natural habitat, but we'll see. I'm going to pick something from this book next week and keep switching up each week. This was Ohuhu markers in the Ohuhu marker pad book. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned at least one new tip or trick today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for stopping by. Have a colourful week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.